Welcome. Welcome to American Alpha Male. I'm glad you're here. Blessed that you're here. All I ask that you do, give me some feedback. Let me know what y'all like. Let me know your dislikes. Hold on. I'm going to get rid of those zombies.
You are not his father. Gianna, calm down, baby. It's okay. We're all here. We're all here.
Let me ask you, who's more hurt? Honestly, who's more hurt? That man is dying inside. That man's level of therapy is going to have to be at such a high intensity that you don't know if he's going to make it the rest of his life or decide to exit right here. You see, men lead in self-termination. They do. More than all your type of communities, your women's, your lettuce, bacon, tomato community. More than them. They do. And you know, one of the worst things about it is we don't do messaging. Channels like mine and a bevy of red pill channels are able to do that. But me, in particular, I noticed these things. We don't message well. We allow what we allow. And since we allow this, we cannot have peace. That man was literally on camera dying of betrayal, disappointment, future projections, trust, angst, love. I could go on. I should, but I'll stop. That man's face told you everything you need to know. That man's heart was crushed. Imagine, fellas, you have a son. Finally. Like The Rock would say, finally. The next thing you know, it's gone. Because a woman decided to give one of her most prized possessions away to somebody who more than likely did not want to be there, but only wanted to stay for a short time. All sympathy went to her for a decision that she made. She wasn't taken advantage of. None of that stuff. She gave it up. Just gave it up. And yet, he has to sit there. What about the embarrassment that he has to go home to? What about that? What about him? Boy, at times, I really wish that men sometimes expressed loudly tears and discomfort and sorrow and misery and pain. Not all the time, but at least once. One of my favorite movies that has came out, and it's not highly touted, but it was such a magnificent scene. And some people liked it, some people didn't. And that's all right. And that's the great thing about good. And great. Good is just like, oh, all right, yeah, it works. It works. Great forces you to have an opinion. Like, this is the best ever. This is amazing. What are you talking about? Godfather 3. There is a scene where the Godfather breaks down after his, well, if you haven't watched The Godfather 3, skip past the next 20 seconds. where he breaks down and he cries because his daughter just died. And he didn't cry because she died. He cried because he realized his world was in shambles and it was ending. It's things like that that happens to us in life as men, where sometimes it is in the best interest to vocally show your displeasure because you have to. I know. I preach a lot of stoicism here. I do. But every once in a while, surprise the world. That man was hurt, bro. I wouldn't wish that on my... Well, I would wish it on my worst enemy. Yes, I would. I'm lying. But I wouldn't wish that on a majority of men. I don't like seeing that stuff. But it has to be shown, because there are men out here who are running around with children that do not belong to them. And they weren't given the choice to decide that they wanted to stay, that they needed to go, that they should provide. These things happen all the time. Now, it is not as though this is a pandemic. I'm not going to sit up here and pretend and say this is happening everywhere in America and all that. I'm not going to gaslight the situation. Hell nah. But I will point out how men have to suffer in silence and women have to suffer, and then they can just escape. That woman is 1,000,000% to blame for this man not having his own walking reincarnation. Because that's what a son is to a man. It's his own reincarnation living in the flesh, with the continuance of what his forefathers taught him, so that they could go on and do things in the world that a majority of men have never been able to do. But because he has the skills of prior warriors in his family, he is now able to go about and conquer as though he can, even if it isn't on the grandest levels. I feel sad for that dude. I feel sorry for that dude. I feel pain for that dude because I've seen it in him. I've never, ever experienced that level of pain myself. But goddamn, I can see it. I can see his soul leaving his body. What if that man becomes abusive towards himself with substances? And he goes and he destroys his life, and he points to this one moment. You know what the rest of the world will tell him? Get over it. The rest of the world will tell him just to get over it. And if he doesn't, he's weak. He's pathetic. If he doesn't, he is trash. He can't sit there and suffer in silence. He can't sit there and suffer in silence with substances. He can't sit there and suffer in silences with substances and takes himself out of life for a moment. Those three things he can't do. Majority of men knew. And no, we can't even suffer in silence, because as soon as we do, they're going to think we're being mean or dismissive of their feelings. They'll take a whole entire situation and flip it towards them and play victim. It just is what it is. So fellas, I need you to understand this. Learn how to protect yourself, because the world will not. The world teaches us 1,000,000% protect the kids and protect the wife, and everything else will be all right. And women should be protected. Kids should be protected. But acknowledge the protector. That man had a whole entire life planned for him, that woman, and that child, and was going to go through great lengths to make sure it happened. So as she sits there, she's really sitting there because she's embarrassed that she was caught. Not embarrassed that she did it, because if she was embarrassed that she did it, she would have told him from jump, hey, there's a possibility that this baby is not yours, so please don't get too attached. Let me go ahead and suffer the consequences of my actions. Have this child, and then let me see if this baby is yours. Please do not get invested in me and in this child, because I made the mistake of opening up my legs to somebody. But she would never do that. That ain't what these ladies do. These ladies will carry that baby and then have it and then know that there's a possibility and a distinction that that ain't your child. And just sit there and ravel in BS. Please, take care of yourselves, fellas, because nobody else is. Save America, wolves.